Hi, everybody. So this is going to be really, really fun. This is going to be something kind of different. I have recently gotten into the show called American Housewife, and I think it's on ABC. And I we kind of wanting to promote it a little bit because I think it's really funny. And I found out my friend Adrienne is really into it as well. So I thought it would be fun to meet with her, and we can talk. We're going to talk about what we like about the show and why we think it works. And so, Adrienne, you want to say hi and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Adrienne. I am an American housewife. I have four kids. I homeschool them, and I like to laugh at other. I like mom humor. What can I
Yeah.
say?
Right. And I realized the other day that I think you and I have been friends for a decade. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, we
I think
have.
I first went to that book club in 2006.
We've always loved talking about good art.
That's right. So the time does fly, right? And so this show has been on the air. I think there's 10 episodes so far, so it's pretty new. Like I said, I think it's really funny, and it's interesting. And I posted about it on my Facebook the other day, just kind of seeing who liked it, what was going. Half of my friends didn't
Mm-hmm.
like it at all, and half really liked it. So it is kind of one of those. That's the way humor is. It's just you just either think it's funny or you don't. That's it, when it comes down to it a little bit.
And I was so glad that you did because I've been thinking for a long time. I wonder if any of my friends are watching this and realizing how hilarious it is because I haven't seen anyone talking about it.
Yeah.
I know that I don't and I still haven't yet, but I should because I'm not sure how my all my feminist friends and I'm a very feminist.
Right.
And I don't know that a lot of people that it's a very feminist-y show. So part of me is like, hey, we all do unfeminist things sometimes, right? Like laugh at female stereotypes and everything,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Yeah. It's
I guess
interesting. We'll talk a little bit more about that. That it pokes fun at things. I think without It's certainly I didn't feel like it's mean spirited. That I think we'll talk about particularly Katie, the lead character, that some of my friends who didn't like the show just had a hard time warming up to her and found her kind of unlikable. So, uh, you know,
probably wouldn't like her.
so it'll be we'll talk about that. I do have the chat room open. If anybody wants to comment, then I can add those comments. So feel free. And so we kind of I wanted to give sort of my overall, we wanted to give some of our overall thoughts of the show and why we kind of like it. And then we're going to go over each of the characters and what we kind of like about them. And so the thing that I think it is very well written. And the thing that I think that makes it work is whenever, to me, the funniest kind of comedy is when you take something that's sort of everyday and you heighten it just a little bit. And when comedies don't work is when it just, for the most part, unless you're really good, then you could make the total madcap craziness over the top. You could make it work if you're a Mel Brooks or somebody who's a master at what they do. Then you can make it work. But for the most part, I think the funniest thing is, like, that's why Seinfeld is funny, is because he takes or The Simpsons, when they're funny, is they take a normal family, a normal situation, and they just heighten
They
it just a little bit.
find the funny in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like Seinfeld could make something like buying tuna fish or milk or something like that funny, and he could find the humor in the signs for McDonald's, or just sort of everyday stuff that we don't think about but actually is funny.
For sure. What I love about American Housewife, and when we first started watching it, my husband, he didn't really think it was funny and at first, but after a couple episodes he was on board, and I told him I think that what's so funny about it is it's all the mommy blogs, all the best mommy blogs. They took rolled into one character, one
Yeah.
show. And that's what I love about it so much. And I love irreverent mommy blogs. I'm not a person who is all about polishing up motherhood or being really yeah, my motherhood experience is not entirely rosy, and if I can't find the ridiculous things to laugh at, then I'm gonna go crazy over here. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I love about it. It's all the mommy blogs, and I'm actually surprised no one's thought to do that before because mommy blogs are so popular,
Mm-hmm.
and we love those confessional, irreverent moms that
Mm-hmm.
are that are talking about that are being really honest. about their kids and about being a mom and everything. So I'm actually surprised it took this long for someone to roll it into a character.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, you could make an argument that Marge Simpson is kind of that character, but in this setting, there's the thing I like the most about, I guess, the show is that I feel like most shows, I do love the show The Middle. I don't know if you ever watched that, and I think it does a pretty good job of similar. But most these kinds of shows, the husband is a total idiot, and I do kind of like in this one how I feel like their marriage is actually really like admirable. Like I would want to have a marriage like theirs.
Sure. Well, and I think that's one thing that happens a lot when we talk about family humor. We always throw the dad under the bus. He's always a dumb. I mean, like Everybody Loves Raymond. I love that show, but you know, he's a dummy. Like every show, it seems like we throw the husband, we make him out to be an idiot, and that's that's a good point on American Housewife. He's not an idiot. He's not at all. They complement each other well. He calls her out on her crazy behavior. You know, they can tease each other.
And so, yeah, it feels like real people. And I actually have never been that big a fan of Modern Family because I feel like with Modern Family that it's supposed to be modern, but I feel like it kind of, I love Phil Dunphy. He saves the show for me. I think he's hilarious. But I just feel like it sort of wallows in some of these caricatures, particularly in my opinion. I actually think the gay couple is kind of stereotypical. Like and so like, it's not really as funny to me as it could be if it was more like, I feel like this is much more sort of approachable and something that I feel like I could relate to because I don't know. I just think the writing is something I relate to a little bit more, I guess.
And I definitely identify with Claire Dunphy too. She's got that kind of mean mom thing. The
Dunphys are the best part of that show, I think, for sure. And I love Ty Burrell is hilarious in my opinion, but I don't know. I just feel like this one is so much funnier. And granted, it's easy to be funny your first season. I think a lot of shows have 2 funny seasons in them, and then they go downhill from there. But
she's been writing a lot. She's done a lot of things. She's kind of just amazing. I forget her name.
Yeah, Sarah Dunn.
Sarah Dunn.
Her name, and she's great. She
looked her up, and she was really amazing.
Mm-hmm. And Katie Mixon, the lead. I really like her too. I've liked her even on Mike and Molly. She was on that show, Mike and Molly.
That one.
Yeah, it was a pretty good show. So anyway, it looks like Sarah Dunn, she worked on Murphy Brown, Spin City, Bunheads, which I loved that show. Got canceled too soon. Looks like, let's see here. Yeah, and she's written some novels, actually. Sounds interesting.
Right.
So anyway.
Every line, it's funny because we always find ourselves pausing it to really savor the lines because we tend to repeat lines to each other. We'll pause it and just repeat it and laugh at it again. We always watch TV with a remote in hand so we can pause it. And I mean, even in dramas, like more serious shows, we'll pause it and be like, oh my gosh, did you see what's happening? You know, that's how we are. But we do it with this show because every line is hilarious. You can't turn off your attention because you'll miss something really good.
The writing is really, really funny. And I guess she's just not, she's not that shrill. She's not that judgmental. Like she is judgmental in the sense of like, she worries about herself. You know, she is self-interested.
Right.
But like, I don't know, like she's just not as like shrill and to me at least as other these type of female characters. I feel like this is one who has the best of intentions, and she is self-interested, but not to the point of it, to me at least. And like I said, some of my friends felt like she was kind of unlikable. I don't feel like she is. I feel like she is likable.
I think she actually really, I think her self-interest, her self-consciousness, some of her concerns, you know, she's really concerned about her weight.
Yeah.
And like, but I think some of that highlights a lot of the things that moms, and not necessarily weight for all of us, but like, I think she kind of highlights, she lives in a world where all the other moms look perfect.
Yeah.
Right. And that's that's the world that all moms live in. We all live in a world where all the other moms seem perfect. They all seem like they've got it together. Their house looks nice. They're working out. They look beautiful all the time. Their kids don't look frumpy. You know, we all live in that world, I think. And I thought that's really interesting how they set her in Westport, Connecticut. And the only reason they're there is because her husband's a professor, but they don't fit in a lot of ways. Their house isn't as big and fancy. And it just kind of, it's a picture of that inadequacy that all moms feel, but it helps us see the ridiculousness of it. And so in that way, I just love it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and not even just moms. Like I'm not married. I'm not a mom. Right. I think just women in general, I think can relate to that feeling of sort of competition, that feeling of not feeling like your sort of the things you do are sort of good enough or polished enough, or
you're not doing it right. You're not being the right kind of female.
You're
not being the right yeah,
I've certainly felt that too. And like I said, we talked a little bit. So Greg Otto is her husband's. Greg is her husband's name. It's played by a guy named Diedrich Bader, and he is very funny, I think, in the role. He was on the Drew Carey show for a long time. He
looked like figure out where he was from.
Yeah, and like I said, I just feel like their marriage is such a cool marriage. You know, it's not like I love The Simpsons. I love a lot of these, kinds of shows, but I don't know. I just feel like it's refreshing to see something that's so not like, it kind of reminds me a way of almost like a more neurotic version of sort of like what you would get in the 80s and early 90s with your Growing Pains and Family Ties. And there's a couple other things that remind me of those kinds of shows that we got back then.
A more neurotic version though. Yeah, that nails it.
But, in those shows, like in I always get them confused, Family Ties and Growing Pains. But the one with Alan Thicke, that one's Growing Pains. Yeah. Because like they were pretty equally yoked in their marriage. And even the Cosby Show, I mean, I know everyone, you have to hate on it now, but they were pretty equally yoked. And Katie's certainly more neurotic than Claire Huxtable ever was, but still, I don't know. I just think it's sort of, I don't know, it's just refreshing. I feel like we haven't seen a lot of that.
That's what I think it is. And I hate to keep going back to this like blog comparison, but just the zeitgeist, our cultural zeitgeist is so different now than in the 80s in this way of being more honest, more open about just our insecurities or whatever it is that we worry about. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we do appear more neurotic than our 80s counterparts, but that's just because we're saying what's going on inside of us, where they were presenting a more polished version of themselves. And so now our characters are doing the same thing. Our characters now are showing what's actually going on inside of our heads because we're puking it out all over the internet, right? Like, we're all being honest because we can be anonymous if we want to be. We can say what our lives are really like. Mm-hmm. And so it makes a character like that. It's hilarious.
Well, one thing I really like too is that it doesn't feel the need to give us a little lesson at the end of every episode, which is like, I really love the Goldbergs, and that's something they do on there. That's something they do on Modern Family. That's something they do on The Middle. It's another show I really like. But it's like, I get it. I'm not stupid. I don't need you to tell me the lesson of the episode.
That's true.
We get it. And but so let's talk about the kids real quick. So you have Taylor is the oldest girl, and then you have Oliver and Anna Kat. And so Taylor, I really think she's refreshing too, what they did with her, because I don't feel like I can think of that many sporty teenage girls in shows like this. You know what I mean? Like,
shows, right.
They're usually kind of either the genius, like in Modern Family, for instance, or
the is really pretty.
Yeah, or the sort of the pretty stupid one. And usually it's sort of one variation of that. And the fact that she that's her thing, is she loves sports. I feel like that's different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of makes her, yeah.
She's got that like shutting her mom out.
Yeah.
Vibe.
They haven't spent a ton of time on her. I don't feel
I
like,
haven't.
but anyway, I feel like there's potential there, and I feel like it's just a little bit different, which makes it nice.
Mm-hmm.
So a big character, and I know you had a hard time sort of warming up to him, is Taylor, and Taylor is like this mini
Oliver.
oh
Right?
or oh, you're right, sorry, Oliver. Yeah, that's right, Taylor's the girl. Oliver is kind of like Alex P. Keaton from Growing
Yeah.
Pains in
No,
a
that
modern
one's Family
setting.
Ties. Yeah, that one's Family Ties.
Oh,
Yeah,
Family Ties, sorry.
he's this little Goldman Sachs
Yeah.
executive. He's becoming Goldman guy, and he was kind of like a jerk, and he's really unfeeling, and his mom just totally sees it, and she calls him on it, and that's what
Yeah.
I love about it. For the first several episodes, I kept turning to my husband, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is our son,"
Yeah.
because kind of like that, and I don't have any problem being like, "Gosh, our kid can be kind of a jerk sometimes, like." Kind of self-centered. This is what's gonna happen? What's gonna become of this child? And that's Oliver.
I love it. He's like, one episode, he's like making trying to make good relationships with people he think will be on his SEC board hearing someday. He's like, they, he's like, I don't know. I think it's their sort of the writer's way. It's the writer's way of sort of poking fun at conservative kind of things, and I'm sure that they'll sort of use him to kind of poke fun at Trump and some of the other stuff coming up. But they do it in a way that's not as kind of, I don't know, it's all in good fun. It's not as Hollywood liberal-y kind of thing like you get in a lot of this kind of writing.
I love Hollywood liberals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of, I think in the beginning he seemed like a really uninteresting character. They had this one thing about him. He's this little jerk that's like all about money and very precocious, and that was all he was. And I think the reason maybe I've come to adore him is that they've started to show other sides of him, more human sides of him, like he's nervous around a girl, or like those little things. I think that they're slowly developing Oliver a little bit more, and it's helping me kind of see him as lovable,
Well, it just helps it to not feel preachy. I think this is what I was getting at, is that sometimes when you have when a show like this is sort of poking fun at a particular different sides of the political spectrum, or the lifestyle spectrum, I guess it can sort of feel a little bit preachy. But I think the way they handle him, it doesn't. So it's really nice. So anyway,
can you hear a child outside my bedroom door?
Yeah, a little bit. Sounds like an Indian war. Like,
oh.
Older kid,
come up and get her.
Oh, she's
go downstairs.
But yeah, no, I think the kid, it just is a pretty likable kid actor, so that helps a lot too.
Yeah, he's funny. Go ask Nora, okay? Sorry.
You're fine.
Go ask Nora, she'll get it. Tell her mommy says. Sorry, I'm so sorry. All right.
You're fine. Okay, so then Anna Cat. And Anna Cat reminds me a lot of, on the middle, the youngest kid on the middle is named Brick. And he has all these like social tics and kind of things. And it's very similar, I think, to that character. But I don't know. I think it's funny. I think they handle it right. I think a lot of families have sort of,
oh my gosh,
a lot of families have that weird kid.
Right. With all the allergies or all the she's just kind of, she's adorable. But then she has she has those precocious things too. She'll kind of like, she sees her mom, and she's a lot like little kids this way. She looks at her mom and she surprises her sometimes with her insights into what her mom's doing. She'll call her mom out on her behavior. Mm-hmm. And that's really funny to me, because kids do that sometimes. They'll call you out. They'll be like, but didn't you just say that? And it's very genuine. Like with Oliver, it's more like he's calling you out in a way to trap you.
In a little more self-interested way.
Yeah. And Anna Cat is just this really sincere confusion.
Yeah.
times where, and it's just sweet. She's adorable.
Well, she's just honest, she's just calling it like she sees it.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I really think she's fun. I like it. I don't think they overdo it on her. And I like it is kind of fun. The very first you see of her, she's outside peeing in the grass. And
You had a kid do that.
Really? You had a kid do that.
I've had one. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Oh, and there was I'm trying to remember what episode it is where they talk about the boy at one point was on the dad's shoulders, and he gets like startled or something, ends up like peeing on his shoulders when he was little, and they're like, that was such a funny gag. They're like, we all have our pee issues or something like that. It's like,
it's totally true. That's so.
Two people I really wanted to talk about. I was curious for your thoughts on her two friends. I think it's Doris and Angela. I think. Yeah, Doris and Angela, I think are their names. Yeah, and I think these are really interesting characters, actually, particularly Angela, because I think she's actually a pretty progressive character.
Is that
that's the lesbian character.
One, or is that the Asian one?
No, that's the black character.
Oh yeah.
The Asian character. I mean the lesbian character. Because I don't know, I feel like that's pretty progressive to it's not that progressive to have a lesbian character. That's fairly normal now, but to have a character who's sort of divorced and like, I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of an interesting, because I think for a while you had to have sort of a perfect relationship in a way, I guess. Like, maybe people were scared of showing sort of flawed, lesbian or gay relationships, and because
I can see that.
You know what I'm saying? And the fact that she's like just this unique character that I feel like I have never seen a character, and granted I don't watch a lot of shows on like HBO or whatever, but like a network programming to have a character like her, I feel like it's kind of refreshing. And I don't know, what do you think?
Did my thing just turn off? Am I there?
Sorry. That's okay. I can still hear you. That's what's most important.
Okay, so I think that yeah, I think that's a really good point. I hadn't really thought about that. I like both of those women because they are, yeah, I mean, it's kind of an obvious, like, okay, bring in the black lesbian and the Asian rich lady to bring in, different perspective. But I like that about it. I like that she has these friends where we can see her kind of bouncing off her different ideas, she's kind of processing her life, all her different dilemmas that she ends up facing. And she bounces it off of them. So it's cool. It gives us a chance to kind of see inside her head.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with I'm so sorry. This is really
fine. She's fine.
Go downstairs and ask Nora. Nora, please help her.
Tell her we're almost done.
But yeah, I think that's an interesting insight. I hadn't noticed that before, to show kind of the realness of same-sex relationships. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, that they can be flawed just like anybody else, and that she's sort of the and she's very like open with her like she is the reason why her marriage fell apart, and because she's
her partner. Yeah.
And when they're like she's just like, well, she shouldn't have had such attractive friends. That's on her. That was funny.
Yeah. Funny.
And I'm trying to remember which episode it is that the Doris character, that she has to sort of babysit for them, and like the kids like realize that, oh my gosh, we have like the nicest mom ever.
Yes, I love it.
That's really good.
Who doesn't understand the power of someone else's mom telling you what to do, right? Like when you're a kid and someone else's mom, I remember this, like if I got sassy with my mom and another mom was there and she would call me out, Yeah. And yeah, who doesn't? And then it just kind of puts you in your place.
Yeah.
I love it. I watched that and I was like, I need to bring in some other mom friends to tell my kids what to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of times we're too scared, but to do that with other people's kids, even ones we know quite well.
Right.
Like
Right.
even my nieces, I'm sometimes really nervous about showing, like, cause I don't know, I just don't want to
Sure.
impose on them. But yeah, I think that is true. And you have that one where you're like, oh my gosh, I love my mom. I love I'm glad I don't have this mom. I'm glad I have my mom.
I love my mom. Funny.
So yeah, the other, I guess, sort of main character is Viv, the neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
And she is played by a woman named Leslie Bibb. And I don't know, she's probably my least favorite character on the show. She's meant to be kind of unlikable and super judgmental. And they try to kind of throw up this sort of the fact that her husband doesn't really seem to care about her at all. And like her husband spends the holidays with his ex, and they kind of try to throw some layers to her. But I don't know. I still just find her kind of, I don't know. Whenever I see her in a story, I'm just kind of like, oh, I would rather have them focus on other characters than on her.
Yeah. Every time you see her, it brings some anxiety. And I think we're feeling kind of Katie's anxiety when Viv comes around. She just likes so much. And she does. She throws out the judgment. And I think that Viv serves to kind of be like we see a whole community of these Westport moms all the time at school drop-offs. We see this community or the PTA meetings and stuff. We see just kind of the way that just those stereotypes about the Westport moms, right? But then Viv kind of represents, we get to a closer look at one of them and we see that it's not perfect. Her life is not as perfect as it looks on the outside.
Yeah.
So I guess she serves a good purpose, but yeah, she kind of stresses me out when she comes around.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just feel like it's the one part where maybe the writing isn't as, I don't know, isn't as nuanced as some other parts. It's just a little.
You can see that it's
a little clunky.
Yeah, and she's kind of a caricature of what we all hope is true about the moms who look perfect, right? I mean, not me. I don't really hope that people are miserable. I really don't. But it's that thing that sometimes moms will tell themselves. I see people do this. Like people will tell themselves, well, you don't know, maybe her life is like this or like that. And so she kind of is, I don't know. Yeah. In that way, she's a bit of a caricature, I think.
Yeah. So, I guess it lost both of our faces on the verse. So no, it's not my fault. It's not your fault. It's Noe's fault. But hopefully they can still hear us.
Well, I know why mine did. My phone got low on power.
Oh, okay. Oh, looks like it's gotten back. Okay, good. Anyway, all right. So, well, those are the main characters. You have crossing guard Sandy. So the PTA episode was one of my favorites. It was so hilarious, I thought. And the way that oh man, that's like got to be my like dream marriage, the way that they like handled that, the two of them together. I thought that was so great. I like
it was so funny. Yeah, he gets her. He really gets her. And
yeah, I don't know. I just loved that, the way they were like, we're getting our therapy for our kid, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah. That maybe. Do you have a favorite episode that you particularly?
Man, that's a hard question. Do
I have I really liked the one where
I love that one where they did that race, that zombie Halloween one.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh my gosh, that was so funny. I was dying when she was doing that race, and she's so shameless.
Yeah. That was really good. And yeah, and Anna Cat takes the final flag, and she's like, "Why? Why?"
I know, it's so funny.
And I really also liked the art show one. That was really funny, where Anna Cat draws her as like this, and like she keeps trying to get her to redo it. She keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. That was really funny. And yeah, they're just really well written. And I'm trying to think. Maybe
though, I actually love how much. I mean, obviously, Katie, she kind of is disparaging about her weight, but also I love that it's a show about a woman who is like not super skinny Claire Dunphy perfect body. She's just a regular looking mom.
Right.
That's the things I love. I love that it embraces that. She's hilarious about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not but it's not just a whole bunch of fat jokes. Like they use it in the right way.
Right.
And I love the fact that you could tell he's just totally turned on by his wife. Like there's no doubt that I think is handled really well. And I guess one episode that maybe didn't work quite as well for me is was the Thanksgiving episode with the mother. That was a little over the top.
I thought so too. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. But the Christmas episode I really liked. I thought that was really hilarious. Where her Anna Cat is turning her mom into Krampus.
Yes. I love it because she's like, hey, I'm a lot like Santa Claus too. I'm fat and I like to make lists of people I hate.
Yeah.
That made me laugh so hard. I think we pulled that out a few times over.
And it was pretty funny gag too. And when they're asked to deliver the presents to the needy family, and it's like, we can only go to Hawaii this year.
Yeah, the needy people in Westport are.
Yeah, they're like, can we just keep the stuff? We're actually more in need of this than you are. That was really, really funny. Yeah, I think
their kids a lesson, and their kids are like,
yeah,
the lesson.
You'll love this week's episode because particularly about like commenting on mommy bloggers. Is this week's episode, Anna Cat goes on a play date to a like professional Facebook and mommy blogger.
Oh, great.
And it's really good. Very funny.
I'm excited.
I think you'll like it. And yeah, I to me, it manages to poke fun at a lot of things without becoming mean-spirited because the characters, and I don't know, it's just to me, it's funny. I just laugh.
Like you said, it's poking fun at things that are really pretty universal for a lot of families. It's poking fun at a lot of things that are real in our lives, but are actually kind of ridiculous when we step back and look at them.
Yeah.
It's making fun.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Well, hopefully people will keep enough people will keep watching it. And it's one thing, the Middle, which like I said, I love the show The Middle, and it's never won a whole lot. It's never won Emmys or been a Hollywood favorite, but it somehow has managed to cobble together enough fans that now we're on season 8. I think.
Oh, really?
So I'm hoping that can be the case with this show, that it'll sort of that it'll be able to sort of cobble together enough fans to keep it going, because I think it's really good, and I think it has huge potential.
Maybe I should throw away my feminist shame and advertise to my friends. I mean, that's the thing. I think that I think it could come off as kind of like, I don't know, the whole idea of,
because it surprisingly to me, it didn't get that good of reviews from the, like, on Rotten Tomatoes. It's at 54%, which really surprised me, because I don't know, I think it's a lot better than that.
Yeah, it is. It's hilarious. Good writing, good acting. Those kids are funny. Like little Anna Cat, she does a great job, and Oliver is a hilarious little actor. He does such a good job.
Yeah.
And like I said, Greg is a good actor. Katie's a great actor. She's got that sarcastic, like, yeah, I don't know.
They all have chemistry. So anyway, I really wanted to do this just because I really wanted to do well, and so I appreciate you coming on and talking to me about it with me, and maybe at the end of the season we'll have to do a follow up. And
yes.
But do you have any social media that you want to share, or any way people can contact you, or at all? Do you do?
No.
Okay.
I'm just a regular Facebooker, I guess.
Okay. Well, thanks again. I really appreciate it, and yeah, hopefully it'll keep going well. We keep getting, because man, there's just not that many shows that I really like that much anymore, and it seems like the ones I like tend to get I don't know, just so many of the shows are so raunchy and so like are just hard for me to sort of stomach, I guess. And so this was just nice. Nice and funny. So all right. Well, thanks again. I appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me.
And let's do it again soon.
Yes, let's.